Welcome to part 3 of the training videos on the QuizCom List View Plus app. In this video, I will look at the different options for displaying data in the app using table and list controls. I will also look at the menu and item actions. For this video, I have already connected the List View Plus app to the suppliers list as demonstrated in video 2.
The web part is made up of a number of controls, in this case the menu, paging and table. Another video will show you how to add additional controls to this web part. It is really simple to change how data is presented from a table to a list.
I will look more at the options for the list control later in this video.
Each control has its own settings, so if I want to change the settings for the table, I just click on that option. In the table settings screen, I can define which columns are displayed. By default, it will show the columns from the view. If I add columns in the settings screen, it will override this default. I can use the arrow controls to easily change the order of the columns. If I want to customize the menu of the web part, then I click on the relevant settings option. There are various headers I can add to the web part. If I want to give it a title, then I complete the relevant box. This does allow me to type in a title of my choice. Alternatively, I can set a dynamic title using a formula. Knockout is used within the List View Plus app to set dynamic values or perform custom actions. Don't worry if you are not a developer. QuizCom have pre-designed a number of snippets for you. In this case, I could select data source title to put in the title of my list.
There are 3 different sized title controls available to me: the title, subtitle, and small title. I can use a combination of these with either text or formulas. There is also the description, which appears below the titles. This by default uses a formula to display a count of either all or selected items.
Also in menu settings, I can configure the actions available. I can delete an action which I do not want, edit an existing action, or add a new one. I edit an action by clicking on the 3 dots next to it. Once again, I have a formula screen where I can write my own code or use pre-built ones provided by QuizCom. Don't forget to set an icon for your action and a tooltip for that icon. Finally, set a name for the action, which users will see on the menu. In addition to menu actions, I can also configure item actions. In my case, I will change the settings for the table control, but this also applies to the list control. I am going to edit the email action and replace it with an action to open a map.
I am going to demonstrate using one of the pre-built actions from QuizCom, but you could build your own action.
First, I'm going to remove the existing code for the email action. Then I'm going to add the action code for maps based on a city field.
This map action relies on a field called city, which is used as a variable in the function. If your field was called something different, you could change the function accordingly.
I'm going to set a tooltip and choose an appropriate icon. Exiting the table settings panel, I can test my new action. Currently, when I click on an item, the row is selected. I can change this behavior within settings for the table control. I can change the item click behavior to view the item, or even to use a custom action which I can define in item actions.
Now let's look in more detail at the configuration for the list control. There are four main data points which I can configure: the title, subtitle, description, and small. Access settings for the list control in the same manner as the table control. There is the option to configure the item click behavior as per the table control. I can set the title value based on either a textual value or a formula. The same is true for the subtitle. In the formula editor, I can select a specific item column to display. Now let's look at the description value. By default, it uses a formula to display a mixture of text and the created by. I'm going to change this to use the city column with some text preceding it. I can do this by placing the text in single quotations and using a plus between the text and the column. The data value on the right-hand side below the item actions is called the small. I can modify it in the same manner as the other values. For the list control, I can also configure the item actions as we saw for the table control. In this video, I demonstrated how to configure the table and list controls, configuring what data values are displayed. I also showed how to configure the various titles in the menu control, also explaining the different options for configuring menu and item actions.
Thank you for watching this training video. If you need any further information, please contact QuizCom using the details on screen.